Hey friends, this is the Miss Volfie from our half-acre homestead, and guess what? The wedding quilt is on the frame. Let's go look. Okay, so there is the finished quilt top hanging on the wall, and now we have to layer it. I don't remember if I told you folks, but my sister told me that their bedroom was white and black, even though the groom picked the colors for the quilt. So I'm making this quilt reversible. Now it's not going to have quilt patches on this side, but it's going to be quilted all the way through, so they're going to have, and the trim's going to be white. So the black side is going to be the back. Now the backing on this quilt, you can't see, but it's a whole lot bigger than the quilt top, and I would rather have more than not enough. And this is Quilter's Dream Cotton. This is cotton batting, not polyester. So let me see how this is gonna. Now this is for a queen size. So what we have to do is we have to get this centered. Okay, so here's the center line. We need this centered on this quilt. Now, this is the center of the fabric as best as I can do it. And this is the center of the liner as best as I can do it. And they're both bigger than the quilt top itself. Okay? Why? You want to start pinning your layers together in the center, and I'll show you why in a minute. Okay. Now this quilt is square, folks. I would rather have much more backing and batting than quilt top. You can see on the camera that that is the center. And I have draped all my fabric and my batting over the table first. And as you can see, the quilt doesn't go all the way down, which is good. Now we start pinning. Thank you, Frankie. These safety pins, don't use your good dining room table, folks. These safety pins, I go all the way down to the wood, and I start the very first pin in the center. And I'm going to pin all the way across the center, because this is what's going to hold my quilt in place when I roll it up. My power just went out. It's really hot here, folks. It's muggy. I'm soaked with sweat, and my fans just quit. Now, this is why we have everything centered on the table. If you think it'd be easier to line up your backing, your batting, and your top all on one edge and then pin and roll, you don't, because this will creep and you'll end up with more or an improper layer on the other side. So we start pinning at the center, and then we'll move one way and then the other. For one simple reason, it keeps it all in place. So I've got down the center pinned, and I've pushed it all that way. And now I'm pinning up the ends. And every time you put a pin in, smooth it outwards like this. Out like this. And that way you're pushing any excess top fabric to the edges where you have extra batting and batting. Batting and backing. I like the big safety pins if I can get them. But some of these dollar store ones just don't work that well. I also like to pin where there might be, you know, a seam. All right, so I have most of this pinned, and the center is pinned because it's over here, but I'm going to pull this now from both sides, and I'm going to start pinning, pushing this out, and pinning the other side. See how it creeps? This is why you spread it out as you pin. Now the first thing I'm going to trim is the batting. And don't worry folks, none of it's going to go to waste. And I'm going to trim it 1 inch on the outside of the quilt top itself. Now, you can see that the fabric is much longer than the quilt. And I'm not going to make it a binding, but I'm leaving, this is the width even though it's square, and this is the length. And I'm leaving the length on each end longer so that I can staple it to the frame. But the outside edges don't need to be there, so I'm just going to cut them off. I'll leave a little bit extra in case I make a mistake, but this is the quickest way to do this. And be careful tearing, folks, because you could accidentally go too far and lose the backing, some of the backing on your quilt. So be absolutely sure you know what you're doing when you're tearing down these sides. That's why you see me using scissors. Try and leave a little bit extra on the edge because that can be trimmed off later. But if you trim it off too short, then you've buggered your design. Okay, so what I've done is this is the one end, and I have folded my fabric so that it comes out even when I staple it. Like I said, this is only, these posts are only 99 inches long, and so my quilt can be no more than 95 because I have to have, well, actually it can't be any more than 94. And I've stapled one in the center, and this is why I leave extra fabric. I stapled one at each end and one in the middle, and now I'm just making it nice and firm. Don't be afraid to use lots of staples. And then we just start. Okay, I'll probably have to talk loud, but Daddy's at one end and I'm at the other. And what we're going to do is we're going to tug and we're going to turn. And we see this, Howie, we want to make sure you tug towards you, not. Okay, and we're going to roll. Yes, the table's clean up now because we're going to get the other one. Well, Daddy gets the other rail. I'm going to do what I did with the first one. This is wasn't square when I put it on the table, and that's why I like to have a lot of extra fabric. Yeah, you have to make sure it's going the right way. No, it's the other way. Yeah. You got to make sure you know which way the teeth of your rail are going on your wheels. You have to make sure that this square end, can you see this, dear?
Yeah.
That this square end and this square end line up. So again, I'm going to start at the center and staple, and then each end. Okay. So now we can roll this up onto the quilt frame. It goes. And there it is, kiddies. It's on the frame. This is Mrs. Volfie from our half-acre homestead saying, the next video, I'll be sitting at the quilting frame. Take care, God bless.